This was the Beatles' one and only concert played in Milwaukee. It was in August of 1964, and I was 16 years old. At that time, it was actually less than a year since President Kennedy had been assassinated, and the country was sort of still in mourning. Um, so, along with the Vietnam War and the race riots, the assassination, that we all needed something to pick us back up again. And then the Beatles showed up. And I think that might have contributed to how obsessed everybody got with them. It was just something to lift us out of all of that. 1964 was the first year they came to the United States. And what made it very interesting for us was that their manager, Brian Epstein, allowed their music to be played on American radio stations, but no photographs were released. So at that time there was no internet, of course, so we knew what they sounded like. We didn't know what they looked like. We were also obsessed with the Beatles that we read every single thing that ever came out and shared it with every other girl in school. Highly unusual that they were coming to Milwaukee, since they only played a few tours in the United States, and Milwaukee is a secondary market. There was a man named Nick Topping in Milwaukee who managed to get them here, and I don't know how he did that, but that was a pretty big coup. I had, in my memory, had always thought of him as an entertainment promoter, but in reading about him, I find that no, he actually owned a grocery store, and but was an activist, a social activist. So I believe it was a friend of mine who got the tickets, and she must have jumped on that right away because I'm sure that sold out almost immediately. They were about $6 a piece, $6 to see the Beatles, and that was a lot of money. But I think that's also before they became so hugely, enormously popular. It was just when they were starting out in the United States. But even so, it was only $6. And I was lucky enough to be one of the ones who went there. But it was enough to be able to go back to school the next day and say, hey, we were there, because so few people got to do that. I went with my girlfriend Kathy and another friend of hers. After the concert, we did, like a lot of the other girls, we were trying to find the hotel they were staying in. So we drove around for a while doing that, and we thought we had found the hotel, but when we got there, we didn't see any activities, so we thought we'd gotten it wrong, and then we went home. I did some reading about it, and it was the hotel they were staying at. So I don't know why when we went there, there was no activity, not a crowd of girls or something, but there wasn't. But that's how obsessed everyone was. You know, we would have followed them wherever they were going if we could have found them. But from the time we sat in our seats, and there were other acts who I don't remember because I was so focused only on the Beatles, it was a solid wall of screaming. Screaming. And finally, when it was time for the Beatles to come on, the announcer said, they will not come on the stage until you all quiet down. And so the entire arena, this was at the old Milwaukee Arena, went quiet. The second they stepped on the stage, the screaming started again. So I heard not one single word of their singing. And on top of that, we were in the nosebleed seats. So they looked about the size of an ant, but it didn't really matter because from then until now, until the day I die, I can say that I breathed the same air as the Beatles.